right, thank you, and welcome to our first recording of Popcorn Prattle. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Marcus Sally, and my co-host here.
Super Calvin Hoskins.
Calvin might seem a little, he might sound a little weird. He's actually talking to me through FaceTime right now. He is in Lynchburg, Virginia. But we are so excited for our first show, aren't we, Calvin?
Season 1, Episode 1. We're going to work out some kinks, but it's going to be awesome. Season 1, Episode 1 is like the definition of like the suckiest thing, but it's going to be awesome. We're going to
Indeed.
have so much fun.
We're gonna do the best we can to provide you guys with the best entertainment as far as movie news, as well as some theories from us. Calvin and I are big comic book fans. Matter of fact, Calvin works at a comic book store. Um,
Yeah.
I am a drama teacher, so I'm bringing up the acting side. He's bringing up the comic book side. And we are just gonna give you guys just a little something different to offer you. I know that some people listen to AMC Movie Talk. Some of us, like Calvin and I, were big fans of Screen Junkies. And
Yeah. Love those guys.
yes, absolutely, we love you guys. So they've kind of inspired us to make something of our own. And so we made Popcorn Prattle. All right. So Calvin, are you ready to talk about our first topic?
Let's prattle.
All right. Our first topic tonight is we're just gonna go down the list. We've been working on a list for the past week or so, and I think we're gonna start off with our War Room segment. And this is actually really, I'm actually really excited to talk about this. Um, if you haven't noticed, which hopefully you have, especially if you're listening to this podcast, there is a war coming between DC and Marvel, and I'm so excited about it as a movie fan. And so we're going to just briefly talk about this for a little bit. Um, Calvin, would you like to start us off, or do you want me to go ahead and start off, or what do you want to do?
I am really excited as well. Some people may call it a war. With me and Marcus were best friends in high school growing up, and we sat in this class with one of our government class, and he taught us the story. Our government teacher taught us the story of this like country, not country. There was like this oil rig and a bunch of people living out on it, and they wanted to become a country independent of their own. They had all this stuff, and they wanted to be declared a country, so they declared war on Great Britain and gave up in like 24 hours, so that Great Britain wouldn't like believe they were a country. And I feel that's the kind of thing we're going through right now. It's not really a war head to head, but it's gonna be pretty awesome. It's a good time to be a nerd. There's some awesome comic book movies coming up, and I'm really excited for almost all of them.
Now, hold on, Calvin. Now you're saying like it's not gonna be a war. I mean, like let's look at this because I'm also a huge wrestling fan, and you kind of sound like Vince McMahon right now, saying like oh, there's not gonna be a war between WCW and the WWF, and there was a war. The WCW definitely pushed back, and I think if DC, if they can, all they have to do is
Is to
have.
find someone else to play Lex Luthor other than Jesse Eisenberg.
Well, okay, all right. Now, granted, yes, okay, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice is off to a rough start.
Full title of our movie.
But here's the thing. Okay? If DC knocks it out of the park with Dawn of Justice, they get redeemed. They do. They get redeemed in the eyes. And if Marvel falters, if Marvel has a bad movie and DC has a good movie, now we have a war.
I I disagree. I mean, yeah, that's a possibility, but Marvel had this great starting point with Iron Man. One of the best superhero movies to start off a franchise. It was so good. And
Agreed?
then DC starting off with Man of Steel, which was kind of a big disappointment. I mean, it doesn't even really feature the real Superman. We can get into that conversation some other time, but
Indeed.
these like Marvel has had some not so great movies, and they've been awesome. Look at Iron Man 2, look at Iron Man 3. They aren't that great of movies, but Marvel, even Marvel's worst movie, is still way better than some of the stuff DC's putting out.
Now, granted, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I am a huge Marvel fan. I mean, like, I'm sitting here in my living room. I'm looking at a Captain America Winter Soldier DVD right now. I'm probably gonna watch it as soon as we're done with this podcast. And I mean, I have to say, I mean, my heart is still, it still kind of bleeds a little bit of DC blood, and I feel that even though, yes, Marvel's worst movies are still phenomenal. Listen, Man of Steel, in my mind, was it absolutely terrible? Well, no. It's the same thing that I feel with, like, The Dark Knight Rises. Was The Dark Knight Rises a perfect movie? No, it wasn't. Did I enjoy watching it? Yes, absolutely. And I feel like Man of Steel, I enjoyed watching that. Now, would I have done Man of Steel a little bit differently? Of course I would. Like, I wouldn't have killed General Zod. I wouldn't have even introduced a lot of Kryptonians because, in my mind, you're putting Superman up against like the most like hardcore supervillains he could possibly face at this time. You know, like, let's build him up. Let's put him up against someone who's a little bit weaker. Having said that, I still feel like DC can turn this around. I mean, you're doing Batman v Superman. You're doing like the movie that nerds across the world have been waiting for. Absolutely waiting for. We finally get it, and all they have to do is knock it out of the park, and all of a
And
sudden
then
we
2 months later, and then 2 months later, maybe, yeah, 2 months later, we're getting a movie featuring Iron Man versus Captain America, which is going to be so much better. Yeah, we're getting Batman versus Superman. That's awesome because they're the two greatest. But then we're going to get a real movie that's going to be so awesome.
So wait a minute. So what
Not
you're
just a
telling
ton,
me?
not just a ton of action. Maybe if Ben Affleck was directing it instead of Zack Snyder, I can't. I really don't like Zack Snyder directing these things.
I don't
It
either.
doesn't appeal to me.
Visually, Zack Snyder, there. No one can touch him. I believe that Zack Snyder is a great, like, he knows images, but story wise, oh man, Ben Affleck all the way. But having said all that, DC is gonna come back with its own set of movies. Like, they don't need to make a knockout punch. That's not what I'm saying. What they need is a winner. A winner to make people say, like, let me look and see what DC's doing. Maybe I like DC movies better than I like Marvel movies.
There are going to be some of those fanboys, and I am essentially one of those fanboys. I'm wearing a Colson Live shirt, and I've got on Thor socks. And I've got Thor picture
Thor's
behind me.
looking behind you.
Thor's looking behind me with Jane Foster. Yeah, I'm a Marvel fanboy, but I do love Batman, and I love several people in that universe. But I just don't really see Warner Brothers and DC pulling through. They don't have the people that Marvel has, Disney, and I don't really see it doing that great. Yeah,
hmm
there are some cool things about it, but I don't know.
I
Maybe
I'm
the
I understand. I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I feel like I don't know. I feel like DC can. I mean, I feel like they can recover. You know me. I mean, like, I'm looking around my apartment right now. I'm seeing a whole bunch of Batman paraphernalia. I mean, literally, Batman. There's a Batman poster of like Arkham City. Sorry, Arkham Origins above my bed, and Batman literally watches over me as I sleep. I mean, I
I,
bleed Batman, and so
I
for,
just feel like Warner Brothers doesn't have a very good casting department. They
they,
have a lot of issues. Um, like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor and Ben Affleck as Batman. They just don't have the thing. Like, I know, oh, they could do good, but I know with Chris Pratt. But I thought Chris Pratt was an amazing choice for Star Lord. Watch Parks and Recreation.
I did
Watch
too.
Parks and Recreation. It's amazing. Chris Pratt was a perfect choice.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't Strange. Perfect casting choices. Marvel can pick people way beforehand
I agree.
and make a movie so good around those people. I am. I told you before we did this that I have a little bit of like breaking news. Um, they are. It's not news. It's rumors, but it's coming from pretty good sources.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing the Suicide Squad movie.
Yes.
Batman versus Superman, and they're already looking to cast the Joker for that movie.
Well, it makes sense to cast a Joker. I mean, Suicide Squad. You got to include Harley Quinn. So I mean, it
Yeah.
makes sense to go ahead and put the Joker in there.
They want Jared Leto to play the Joker.
Ugh. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, again, I'm a movie guy. I am a I'm an actor, and personally, like I like Jared Leto. I've seen him in a lot of different things. I saw him in Lord of War. I thought he was incredible in that. I saw him in Dallas Buyers Club. Thought he was phenomenal in that. Can he pull off the Joker?
The Joker. Well, I know he was up to be Doctor Strange as well.
He was.
Benedict Cumberbatch is a lot better choice.
I mean, it's Benedict Cumberbatch.
Jared Leto, I don't know.
I mean, Jared Leto, he's good. He's very good. And I mean, and the problem with Jared, and the problem is, and it's not even with Jared Leto. The problem is that Marvel can DC fanboys, sorry, not Marvel fanboys, can DC fanboys get past their Heath Ledger obsession?
I know. Heath Ledger was an amazing Joker.
He was.
Did such a fantastic job at that Joker. But I feel like people are going to have that Heath Ledger is the perfect Joker mindset for the longest time. Honestly, Heath Ledger's not even my favorite Joker. But
I bet I can guess who your favorite Joker is, though.
go ahead.
It's Mark Hamill.
Oh yes, because Mark Hamill is amazing, and Kevin Conroy is Batman.
Kevin Conroy is Batman.
But Kevin Conroy is Batman.
Indeed. I wholeheartedly. This is the first. Wow, this is like the first time we've ever disagreed about something, and then what do? We go right back to agreeing.
I feel like you're kind of going with DC might be able to pull it off, just so we have some like argument in the podcast.
We do.
Okay.
Look, we need a good conflict in the podcast.
Yeah.
So we will, folks. We will
I'm
continue.
on the winning side. Thank you for giving me the winning team.
We will continue talking about. We will continue to have a War Room segment weekly, where Calvin and I will undoubtedly go back and forth about this, because, quite frankly, like there is a war coming. Calvin feels that it's not going to be much of a war because Marvel is already way ahead of DC. However, DC, I feel like you're the little engine that could. You've got Batman at the helm. I feel like you can pull this off.
Okay. DC can't make a good movie without Batman. There's more characters in the, and to be honest, Batman's not even that. Batman's amazing.
Now, I was about to say, watch your back
I love
now.
Batman,
Okay.
but like, you need more characters. Marvel is doing such amazing. Disney Marvel. Let's establish that.
Right.
Disney Marvel, not Fox or Sony Marvel.
Right,
But
right.
Disney Marvel is doing such an amazing job with the B-list team. Before 2008, who gave a crap about Iron Man?
Agreed.
Or Thor?
Who knew?
Captain America?
Who knew who Thor was? Even comic book nerds were probably like,
Mythology.
yeah.
And now they're taking not even like the B-list team, but they're taking people from like the D, G, F list, like the Guardians of the Galaxy. Before this summer, who knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Not me.
I did, but but other than Rocket Raccoon and Groot, you didn't really know much about them. And this isn't even the original Guardians. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But Marvel is doing such amazing things. Have you seen Guardians of the Galaxy? It is one of the best movies of the year.
Hey, they're my new favorite superheroes, really. And I'm not even like trying to be a fanboy. Like the movie was incredible. Like it made me want to watch Guardians of the Galaxy. However, can I just say that after Guardians of the Galaxy, I got more into comic books. I started reading them more.
Are you reading Rocket Raccoon?
I am not reading Rocket Raccoon just yet. I'm reading Star Lord, however, and if you haven't,
Amazing Star Lord this week was good,
yes,
but Rocky Raccoon this week was one of my favorite comics of all time.
I
They're taking a little break right now, and then like they just got on Rocky Raccoon number like 4. They finished this big mission, and everything was good, and the Guardians are celebrating. And then episode 5 or issue 5 for Rocky Raccoon, they're sitting around the campfire and they're telling a bunch of like Boy Scout stories,
mm-hmm.
like war stories. And Rocky Raccoon's like, I'm tired of telling stories. You can tell when Groot. And the entire comic book is Groot telling a campfire story. So it's like 20 pages of I am Groot. I am Groot. I am Groot. And amazing things going on in the entire comic. And it is a blast. And the ending of it is just so special. Go pick up Guardians of the Galaxy number 5. No, Rocky Raccoon number 5 right now. It's amazing.
Nice,
Like, you don't even have to read 1 through 4 because this is a standalone issue. If you're a fan of Groot, if you love Guardians of the Galaxy, go pick up this issue.
nice, nice. Did I mention Calvin works at a comic book store? All right. Well, I do have to say this. I do have to say this, and then we're gonna move on. The reason why I brought up me reading comic books more after Guardians of the Galaxy was because I picked up a little comic book called Suicide Squad, and if Suicide Squad can match Guardians of the Galaxy, watch out. Watch out. Because I'm reading I don't know how you listeners feel about Suicide Squad if you've been reading it. I'm in love with it. I love the characters. I love how dysfunctional they are. They are like the evil Guardians of the Galaxy. These people are horrible people. I mean, they literally kill each. I mean, they literally kill like innocent people every issue. But you
It's
know
like,
what? I have so much fun reading it, and I have so much fun like just seeing like their dysfunction and how they how do these people work together. You know the Guardians of the Galaxy are gonna work together. You know that deep down inside they are good people. These these mofo's are not good people. They want to they're murderers. They're horrible criminals. And yet I cannot stop reading about them.
apparently they're on Arrow right now, or they're like a big storyline in Arrow. Like
Really?
the TV show Arrow. Yeah, apparently they're in Arrow. I saw a little slip. One of my best friends down here is a huge Harley Quinn fan and Tara Strong fan, and Tara Strong voiced Harley Quinn. They didn't actually show Harley Quinn in the episode, but like they were. I heard that. I can't watch Arrow. I'm trying my best. I just finished season 1. Arrow is like One Tree Hill and superheroes like mixed together. Not
Oh
that I've ever
no.
watched One Tree Hill, but it just feels like one of those like Dawson Creek kind of shows, but there's a superhero in it. Like
I've been contemplating watching Arrow, but I just can't do it. Wait a minute, is
uh,
this a good segue into Gotham?
I honestly I gave up on Gotham.
We're going folks, we're going on to we have a like I said, we have a list and I think that's a good enough segue to go into the next topic, which is Gotham, the good, the bad, and the just plain awful. So I think we're kind of we this might be one that we're in agreement with. I'm not too thrilled with Gotham. I mean, I am to a certain extent. There are definitely elements that I love and that I really like and I'm really digging, but then there are others that just either make me sad or just make me incredibly angry as a Batman fan.
Like okay, it's trying to be Smallville.
Okay.
Like the beginning, but at the same time, I don't know. There's this. I've watched the first like 4 episodes of it, and I know so many people love it, and I see the hype. I understand the hype.
Mhm.
I just don't get. I'm not a huge fan. Um, I should be patient though and watch more of it because I am a huge fan of Agents of Shield.
Right.
As I'm a huge Marvel fanboy, as we've discussed, but I just don't really see. I love a few of the characters of that show of Gotham, but it just no, it's got Spider-Man 3 syndrome, where they're just throwing too much in it at
Mm.
the same time and then winking at you. Like the very first episode, the whole like, all right, Enigma, give us what you got, and don't give us any of those riddles, you Riddler. Hey guys, he's the Riddler. Like I'm tired of that crap that they do. Like, oh, cat, you gonna go get some milk for the cats, you cat? Cat burglar. Oh, is she Catwoman? Just so many dumb things like that happen in the show. When I first heard about Gotham, I was so excited because I love Batman. Batman's my favorite thing in the DC universe.
Yeah.
Like Batman, Green Lantern, and Flash.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. And I was really excited to hear like this is gonna be before Batman, and it's gonna be the like crimes because Gotham is this terrible place. And you hear all about like the super like the Joker and Bane, Clayface, and all these other hero villains that Batman fights. But before all of those, there's those mob bosses and the mobs and Penguin. Penguin is the best part of that show.
Penguin is.
There's nothing. The only reason to watch that show is for the Penguin,
Yeah.
and I just can't watch that show. The Penguin's the only thing making me interested into that show. I'm not interested in that show. The guy who plays Bullock, okay. Guy who plays Commissioner Officer Gordon. I don't even know what he is.
Detective.
I watched him. Detective Gordon, thank you. Bruce Wayne, 8-year-old Bruce Wayne is not Batman. Quit making 8-year-old Bruce Wayne about Batman.
No, Calvin. I love that 8-year-old Bruce Wayne is apparently a little junior detective who can figure out crimes and no longer has to go through like the trials and tribulations that Bruce Wayne had to go through before he returns to Gotham and says, I'm going to become
Knows everything about business.
right. You know?
I'm gonna read all of my family's like. Okay, that's no. I really don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool seeing how the 8-year-old like you don't hear much from 8-year-old to whatever Batman. He's Batman now. I'm Batman now. But I just
But I mean, think about it. What actually went on during that time? So he goes to boarding school. At one point, he leaves. He goes to train to become a expert ninja in the League of Shadows. He becomes a criminal. He becomes a criminal psychologist. And comes back to Gotham and says, "Hey, I'm going to strike fear in the hearts of Gotham's enemies by becoming a man bat, essentially." And when he does, guess what? Gotham writers, that's when they start introducing like all of these super villains. You can't have super villains in Gotham because the supervillains only showed up because Bruce Wayne was being Batman. He escalated justice.
Yeah. Like, when I heard Harvey Dent was going to be introduced into this show, I kind of gave up. Harvey Dent is. No, I don't want to see. No, I'm not even going to talk about that. Because I haven't seen it or heard much about what's going on. But don't introduce these characters. I was excited to hear about Zaz being in the show and some of these lesser villains.
Zaz was awesome, by the way. If you haven't seen the latest episode of Gotham, it actually shows Victor Zaz in it, and he is like he's a threat. Like for once, he's a threat in that universe because he's going up against regular people, and that's the beauty of Gotham. That's when Gotham shines the most. When you have regular people. What's that?
Balloon Man wasn't a threat.
Look, don't talk to me about Balloon Man, okay? I don't want to talk about that. Balloon Man is what I would consider the bad of Gotham. But the whole introduction of Venom. Did you hear about that?
I watched that episode. I think that was the last episode I watched.
That was gonna be the last episode that I watched because how do you introduce Venom into the DC universe in this new retelling, I guess, of Gotham's origins, and How do you do that? How can you possibly do that? It's like correct me if I'm wrong, Calvin. Venom is not introduced yet. It's only introduced with Bane. Is that like the first introduction of Venom?
That's the first I know. I can't be. I'm not 100% sure, but that's I only know Venom from Bane, like in
So
the DC universe.
like what? Do we introduce Bane now? Because I'm pretty sure Bane only showed up to Gotham to beat up Batman.
Yeah, if Bane shows up, this is getting it's already ridiculous, but it's just gonna get so much worse. I don't want to see Bane in Gotham. I don't want to see Joker in Gotham. I'm tired of seeing Edward Enigma in Gotham. I'm
I
tired of Gotham.
I really don't understand what they're doing with Nigma. I hate the guy that's playing him. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, like, hey, I feel like every actor does his thing, but he's doing a Jim Carrey impression.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to watch old school Batman, watch like the animated series, that's not Jim Carrey Batman. That's a very interesting interpretation of the Riddler. Even in the Arkham games, it's a interesting version of the Riddler. You don't
Yeah.
have to copy Jim Carrey for us to like the Riddler.
Yeah. No. And that was well, that was the highlight of those movies. Like those were terrible movies.
Mm-hmm.
The the that one was okay, but that was
Out of all of
really
them, that one was okay.
yeah. I like the Michael Keaton one, and I like the Penguin from there, and that one that's where it started to slip when you introduced Robin and all. Jim
Yeah.
Carrey made a good Riddler, but Neil Patrick Harris would make a better Riddler. Did you see him dressed up there for Halloween with his kids?
I did not, but dude, yes. If
Yes.
anybody from DC is listening to this, make Neil Patrick Harris the Riddler.
Yes.
Because that would be awesome. Barney
Yes.
Stinson as the Riddler.
Oh, it'd be an awesome suit.
It would be legend. Wait
Wait
for it.
for it.
Dairy. Legendary.
Yes.
But
Uh,
all right, so let's end this segment with a grade for Gotham. What would you give?
oh,
What would you give Gotham at this point?
I would say the best way to end this segment is to instead of watch Gotham, there's another. Go watch NBC and watch The Blacklist on Monday nights. The Blacklist is far superior. The Blacklist is an amazing show. Go watch The Blacklist.
Go, yes, indeed. Watch the Blacklist. It's on Netflix actually, and we are through our podcast. We do want to try and give you guys suggestions on different TV shows or different Netflix movies that you should be watching. Definitely watch the Blacklist. I mean, James Spader. He made
He's
like
gonna be Ultron. If you want to see, okay, if you're excited for Age of Ultron, go watch The Blacklist.
I
That's the
agree.
only reason I started watching it was like, oh, it's got James Spader. He's gonna play Ultron, and I saw him in those few episodes of The Office that were kind of meh, but I still enjoyed it because The Office was great. But I was like, I need to watch this. And James Spader. I know so many people have like love the voice of Morgan Freeman. Oh, Morgan Freeman is the Hollywood's voice of God. Morgan Freeman is like the voice of God. James Spader's the voice of Satan, and it is his voice is so menacing and soothing at the same time.
yeah,
And his stories, like I wonder if like they were actually written into the script. Go watch The Blacklist.
yeah.
Don't watch Gotham. Watch The Blacklist.
Even on
His
Hulu.
stories.
I on Hulu, like, because I mean, I work a lot. I work late, like a lot of times, and I will seriously watch The Blacklist way before I watch Gotham.
Yeah.
It's just a better show. It's more entertaining. The story is great. The actors are great. I mean, not even just James Spader, but the woman who plays Elizabeth Keene, she's awesome. The whole FBI agency, they are awesome. Go watch it. If you haven't seen season one, it's on Netflix. Binge it this weekend.
It's got that general from Man of Steel, which I know so many people love.
Yeah, Jennifer Man of Steel, and he was also in The Matrix.
He was in the Matrix.
Yeah,
I just more think of that one awesome scene he had where he
You sure? You sure? Because you could quote it pretty well.
Yeah. Okay. Let's not talk about that.
All right, so we let's move on. let's continue on. Our next topic is Marvel press conference. We actually skipped this one. Marvel press
Yeah, we
conference.
skipped that one. Way to go, Marcus.
I well, hey, you brought up Arrow, so we had to keep going. Uh, Marvel press conference thoughts and concerns. Do we have any?
Well,
Do we have any concerns? I mean, I think I can think of a few.
my concern is that 2019 is too far away.
Of course.
That's my concern. Because I just want to see Infinity War, like, right now.
Oh my gosh! Don't even get me started, please. Oh, I guess you can because we're on this podcast now. I mean, yeah, Infinity War is gonna be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Um, I know we have it also listed on here as well, but we could, as I said, we could more merge these guys together. Idris Elba is announced that him and Tom Hiddleston are going to be in Age of Ultron,
Yep.
and I'm really excited about that because of what's going to happen with there that leads into Thor Ragnarok. That is one of the movies that I'm most excited for in this next phase. There's so many great things. Black Panther, Captain Marvel, The Inhumans, which is essentially Marvel sticking his middle finger up to Fox and
Fox.
says,
Yeah,
okay, we'll make our own mutants. Captain America, Civil War, which is going to be an awesome movie. I'm so excited.
it will be.
Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So many awesome things listed in this phase 3, the next phase.
Can I just say can I say this though? All right. I mean, I guess I'm gonna play devil's advocate on this episode. Everyone's probably gonna hate me. I'm sorry, but I feel like we need a little bit of conflict in this. Okay, so here's my concerns. While yes, don't get me wrong, I'm very excited about all these movies. I think they're gonna be awesome. I mean, come on, Black Panther, uh, Captain Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which got bumped up a little bit closer, so now we get those Guardians even more.
It's only
Infinity,
like 3 months, but yeah.
still, Infinity War. That's gonna be awesome. Inhumans, yes, please, let's bring those guys out. Now, here's my concerns. Marvel is due for a loss. Like I feel like for some reason I feel like between Ant-Man and Doctor Strange, there is room to say like, hey, these could be bad movies. Now I know. Hold on a second. Now I know you could argue like, hey, back in the day, who would have thought that a talking raccoon and a talking tree who could only say the words I and am and Groot, and in that order, be like quite possibly the number one Marvel movie since the Avengers. And it's like, okay, I get that, but and I'm not even gonna get into the whole Edgar Wright thing and like oh they haven't gotten they took them so long to get like the Doctor Strange, like that to me is not a red flag, like that's not something to be worried about like with these movies. What worries me is that, listen, we are starting to get into even more dangerous territory. Yes, the Guardians of the Galaxy was kind of like their D team of comic book characters, and they were able to basically pimp slap Man of Steel and say, "I dare you to try and make a better movie than this." And we haven't even broken a sweat yet, and we were able to make a better movie. Uh, with these movies coming up, there is room to say like, hey, we might be stretching ourselves a little thin. We might, unless we do this absolutely right, we could have some we could have some bombs on our hands.
Yes, I mean, Paul Rudd in a superhero movie is a ridiculous idea, but who knows? Paul Rudd can pull it off.
I, I
I do have concerns. Ant-Man is the one I have the most concerns about,
yeah.
only because of, and I know you said you didn't want to get into it, the whole Edgar Wright dispute. I think Edgar Wright would have been a perfect choice to do that movie. I love Edgar Wright stuff. Shaun of the Dead is fantastic. Scott Pilgrim is on my top five.
Scott Pilgrim versus the world.
Uh, I love Edgar Wright can do some amazing stuff. Paul Rudd, we'll see. But some of the images coming out of this, I'm still pumped for it. Benedict, I mean, Doctor Strange, I have no issues with at all.
I don't either.
That's gonna be. There's a movie on Netflix, which is pretty interesting. The Doctor Strange, like it's an origin story of Doctor Strange.
Right.
Okay, yeah, go give that a watch, but I can't wait to see this next one. Benedict Cumberbatch is a perfect candidate. I wanted to see, he was my first choice, my second choice. The only other person I wanted to see was Obi-Wan Kenobi, McGregor from
Ewan McGregor.
Oh, yeah, I would love to see him play it, but Benedict Cumberbatch, you know, the moment all this crap goes down and all of these characters are on screen together in Infinity War, Benedict Cumberbatch and Tom Hiddleston are gonna have a scene together. They don't even have to say anything, and you know everyone's going to love it, and it's gonna be just as big as the uh, like Puny God scene from Avengers. Like the two of them on screen, everyone's gonna lose their mind. The only other person, and I've made this joke with my friend, is if they get Matt Smith into the movie as well. Then they have all of the cheekbones.
Yeah.
And that movie would be fantastic, and it could just be 2 hours of the three of them just staring at you, staring at a camera, and everyone would love it.
But the thing is, though, do we wait until? I mean, do we forgive a bad movie for, just for the idea that, hey, later on we're gonna get all these people in Avengers Infinity War? Like, do we forgive a bad movie?
I don't think Doctor Strange is going to be a bad movie. That is one of the. It's going to be an amazing story. I can't wait to see what they do with that story. Ant-Man is the one I have the most concerns about, but I'm still really excited about it. I have to wait till next year to see how excited I will still be, but
Well, I mean, Ant-Man is like, to me, like, again, I've kind of picked and chosen over the years what superheroes I want to follow, and just like everybody. But with Ant-Man, Ant-Man's not like the one that sticks out in my mind as like, hey, you know who I want to read about right now? Ant-Man.
I feel like if I'm excited for that movie, it'll be good. It won't, even if it is a failure, even if it's a terrible movie, we can overlook it because Ant-Man's short.
Ant-Man.
It's a short joke. We can overlook it because he's so small.
Way to go. Way to go. Our listeners will not be listening for our comedy. They'll be.
You should add the thing in post, like the drum symbol.
I should. Listen, like with all right, so with Ant-Man, I mean, I think I think the thing with Ant-Man, the thing that's going to help it succeed is we get more set up for future movies. I mean, look at movies Thor, like Thor number 1 and Captain America number 1. Like those were two origin story movies.
Good examples of Marvel making failures because they weren't that great movies.
They weren't, but you know what though? In my mind,
They set up for good movies.
they did indeed, they did indeed. But again, Marvel has to be careful because now again, and I'm sorry, but we kind of going back to the first segment, but there is a war coming, and DC is waiting for that opening to say like, we're gonna get that body shot or we're gonna take that uppercut as soon as you have a bad movie. And
I
all DC has to do is make sure that Marvel has a bad movie, and then boom, they break out like even just a decent movie. Because right now, people's expectations for Batman v Superman is very low, very low.
I still know several people who are excited about it. Those DC fanboys. Like I know I'm a Marvel fanboy, but people come into the comic book shop all the time, just talking about how excited they are for this Batman versus Superman movie. Some of the things I have issues with. There are still people. There are people who think Green Lantern is a good movie. The Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern.
Who says that?
I've actually run into three people this week who said I actually enjoyed that movie, and then I really wanted to take it out of my comic book shop if they spent money, and I couldn't do that
Listen,
because it's not my comic shop.
we're gonna be on YouTube as well. If you want to also follow us on YouTube. Listen, if you are a listener and you actually like the Green Lantern, the Ryan Reynolds version, please talk to us. Please write something in the comments on like why that is, because I would love to read why that is. Like why you feel like the Green Lantern with Ryan Reynolds. And don't get me wrong, I love Ryan Reynolds, but I thought that was a horrible movie.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Like I know so many people are excited about this Deadpool movie that we're getting. I love the release date for the Deadpool movie. It's coming out Valentine's Day, like 2016. That's the most excited I am about it. But Ryan Reynolds and a Fox movie. I hate the recommendation time. Go watch the Everything Wrong with Days of Future Past on CinemaSins YouTube channel.
Oh yes, please.
Um, those X Men movies are terrible. Marvel's the ones they're getting better.
They are.
They're getting better, but it's still not that great.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, yeah, DC had that awesome press release, and they were like, "This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna do Batman versus Superman, and then we're gonna do the Suicide Squad, and then there's the Justice League movie, and then we've got Aquaman and Wonder Woman and all these things." They had that like nice press release, and as
Yeah.
I posted things on Facebook, Justin Hammer essentially like standing up. These are all of my things, and then Tony Stark, Marvel had this amazing press release, and they showed Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. It's just so much better.
Yeah.
It's so much better. You know who else sent out a press release of this is our awesome lineup of all the movies that we're gonna do. We're gonna do the Amazing Spider-Man 2, then the Sinister Six. You see how well that's going. That
Well,
was
well, hopefully they're gonna fold and give Spider-Man, or at least work out a deal so that Spider-Man can be in Civil War.
I think Spider-Man needs to be in the Justice League movie. I know that's not. I know not DC, Marvel, whatever. I know. I'm just saying that those Spider-Man movies, they need Andrew Garfield in that Justice League movie to make it so much better. I mean, they've got Cyborg. What's the guy who's playing Cyborg's name? I can't even think of it right now.
I can't remember.
You know why? He's only been in one movie before this, and it was a short. It was a 15-minute long short. And now they're gonna give him his own movie. I don't. His first movie's gonna be this. I mean, that's cool. I'm so happy for the guy.
Right.
But I don't know. I can't get behind what he's doing right now.
Well, of course not. Listen, we will wait. We will hold off on that. We kind of went back to the first segment a little bit. We were going to move on. Do we want to say anything else about Idris Elba and Tom Hiddleston besides the fact that we're really excited to see them in it?
I'm really excited to see them in it. I have my theories. There is an awesome scene released. Spoiler alert! In case you're trying to like
Yeah.
not see anything from Age of Ultron.
Yes, if you don't want a spoiler alert, go ahead and feel free to mute your podcast or mute the YouTube for like like a minute or so. Go ahead, Calvin.
There's this awesome scene where Captain America is like chopping wood with Tony Stark.
Oh yeah.
And he rips the log open with his like bare hands. He just rips this log in half. And they're talking about like what did that Maximoff kid show you? And I think because Thor left without telling anyone where he was going. I think he knows that Loki's sitting on the
Mm.
after Dark World, and which came out a year ago today. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Sorry, random fact. I think he knows that Loki's sitting on the throne of Asgard, and he flies up there to go figure out what's going on. And Heimdall tells him a little bit what's going on. Maybe, and that leads into the story of Ragnarok. I don't know. That
I
would be cool.
I heard a rumor that the reason why Idris and Tom Hiddleston are in Age of Ultron is because Scarlet Witch during like the opening scenes, because it's pretty common knowledge now, the opening scene is going to be the Avengers fighting Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. And one of the things that we know that's going to happen, or that we have heard is going to happen, is Scarlet Witch is going to manipulate the Hulk into fighting Tony, and that's what makes Tony use the Hulk Buster suit, and that's why they're
Yeah,
fighting.
my theory.
Yeah, which makes sense. It makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense. The other theory would have to be Scarlet Witch also uses her powers on Thor, and
Yeah.
Thor gets put into this kind of like trance where he sees his brother Loki, he sees Heimdall. We don't really know what he sees, but he's kind of like he's distracted at this point, which would make sense on why maybe Captain America, Hawkeye, and Black Widow are the only ones who are really fighting off the Maximoff twins.
Yeah.
And even in the trailer, you see Thor drop his hammer. Which does it feel like he drops his hammer like in almost every trailer that Thor is in?
Yep. In every movie, Thor has to drop his hammer, and in every movie, Iron Man has to be held up by his throat.
Yeah.
In
Um.
every single movie, Iron Man gets choked.
And so it's like okay, so like like okay, so the Maximoff twins basically take the two strongest Avengers and say like you're gonna fight for us now. That's pretty interesting. I think that's pretty exciting. I think it's pretty cool that we don't really know what else could happen in this movie, because
I'm really
really
intrigued.
all we know
I'm
is
really
that
intrigued.
Ultron is created by Tony Stark, that the Maximoff twins are at the beginning, but there's still 2 hours left of a movie to fill.
A lot of foreshadowing for Civil War.
Oh yeah.
Um, Hulk versus Iron Man. You got the Hulk. You got everyone versus Ultron. Thanos is rumored to be in it. Heimdall's in it. We remember. Apparently, in the interview that he gave, where he was talking about it, he filmed the scene where he was falling out of a spaceship. I'm intrigued with what's going on there.
Hmm.
Um, but so many things are going to go on in this movie, and I'm really excited to see what Joss Whedon does.
I agree.
I can't wait because I feel like so many other movies have had that. Like we've thrown too much into it when Avengers had so much and they gave such great time to all of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, they added two more characters. Well, they killed off like one of the most important characters in the previous movie early. So I miss him.
Exactly.
I love Coulson. Go watch Agents of Shield. It's better.
It looks like the next episode is gonna be pretty good. I watched a trailer for it while I was watching Shark Tank, and it looked pretty good. I might just fold and watch it, even though I haven't seen the previous episodes. I'll just Wikipedia it and get caught up.
Basically, Agents of Shield was so terrible at first because they were fighting like the bad guy of the week and going after the MacGuffin of the week, and now they have a main bad guy after the events of Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Right.
Hydra is there now, and now Shield versus Hydra is an amazing thing that they're doing.
Yeah.
And then Ari Coulson come back to life, and Coulson lives.
He's wearing a shirt that says Colson lives, folks.
Yes. I love that show. They're doing such great things. It's doing such a good job. They've introduced Mockingbird. So many other awesome things are going on in that show.
Nice.
watch Agent Shield. Give it another try. Like, if you don't want to watch the whole thing, like catch up, go to episode 16 of the last season and watch them.
Mm.
Watch the first episode, watch episode 16. You'll be good.
There you go. Well, folks, I'm looking at my clock right now. We're about at 50 minutes. We took about 5 seconds off. So, and we promised ourselves that we were only going to do an hour-long show. Calvin and I can probably talk about this stuff. I mean, on average, a good 3 hours. And really, it's all about like maybe one or two topics. So we're really struggling to try and keep ourselves on track. But we are going to try. So we got 51 minutes left. We've got two more topics to talk about. Let's
Skip to the last one.
skip to the last one.
Yeah.
And then if we have time, we'll go back.
Talk about Star Wars Episode 7. If you want to hear more, hit us up on Twitter. Send us an email. We'll give you more about that later. But I want to talk about these animated movies.
All right, Calvin says we're not doing Star Wars tonight. Hopefully we can do it next week. But for right now, we're going to close up. We're talking about animated movies. Calvin is going to take point on this one. I'm going to follow his lead this time. Calvin, what do you want to talk about?
Okay, I'm sorry. I really want to talk about Star Wars, but we'll skip that for this week. Animated movies. Another recommendation. Go see Big Hero 6. Go see Big Hero 6. Go see Big Hero 6.
I mean, is it that good?
Dude, it's an animated movie from the creators of Wreck-It Ralph, Tangled, and Frozen. It's far better than Frozen. I hated Frozen. You can yell at me about that later. I hate Frozen.
You know, 50 million people just unsubscribed to us.
I love Frozen for you people that subscribe back to us.
Subscribe.
Frozen was terrible. Go see Big Hero 6. Baymax makes Olaf look like a puddle of water. Baymax is one of the best characters I've seen in a movie forever. There's a character named Fred who is essentially me to a T. Like, it's such a perfect movie. It's a Marvel movie, so Stan Lee makes a cameo in this animated movie.
What?
Stan Lee makes a cameo in an animated movie.
That's
It's amazing.
that's worth seeing alone.
I'm sorry to spoil that. But it's a Marvel movie. What else would you expect? Stan Lee's in it, just for a brief second. It's got one of the best end credit scenes I've ever seen. It's hilarious. It's a tearjerker. It's so good. Go see Big Hero 6. It's so good. It's based off of a Marvel graphic novel. It's so good. There's so many great one-liners. There's so much good action. Frozen didn't have it's the bad guy at the end who had no purpose. Frozen was just garbage movie. No purpose, no plot, just a bunch of singing. I love singing.
Calvin, you are making us lose subscribers.
Frozen's terrible. Big Hero 6 is awesome. Baymax is amazing.
Now
Williams is in it.
I have to ask. Is Big Hero 6 going to be featured in the Avengers? Will they return?
They will. I think there's going to be a sequel. There better be a sequel. It sets it up for more stuff to happen.
Nice.
But maybe a TV show or something. But Big Hero 6 is such a good movie. It's so good. There's a lot of good animated movies that I'm looking forward to right now. But Big Hero 6 tops them all. It's not as good. It's up there with Wreck-It Ralph.
Wow.
One of my favorite movies. I love Wreck-It Ralph. It's up there with the Lego movie too. I love the Lego movie. I love Wreck-It Ralph, and I love How to Train Your Dragon. It's right the two. How to Train Your Dragon 2. It's right up there with all of those.
Wow.
It's got awesome moments that like really you care about these characters. I don't want to spoil it, but like there's so many good things about this movie. I already spoiled too much by telling you Stan Lee's in it, but see, it's good.
Nice.
It's good. I'm excited for this other movie that they have coming out, the Pixar movie next year, Inside Out. That looks really good. Pixar's doing a movie about emotions. Who knows how to toy with your emotions better than Pixar?
Oh my gosh. dude, I cry every time I look at a Pixar movie.
Uh,
Every
like
Pixar movie makes me cry.
Cars 2 makes me cry for different reasons, but um, sorry, dumb joke. Uh, but Inside Out looks really good. There's a trailer for the Minions movie. The Minions from Despicable Me are getting their own movie.
I saw that. I did see that.
Before I read that like Groot comic, I don't think I've ever laughed as hard as I did when I watched that Despicable Me trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Minions movie trailer. Go look that up right now. The Minions movie trailer. Actually, wait till we finish because we're almost done. Um,
Indeed, I'll
and
include a link in the about page.
they do
Yeah.
in the about page. Okay. And one more thing. They announced the other day another Pixar movie for 2017. And I want your thoughts on this, Marcus. Toy Story 4.
Oh, great Scott. I don't know if my emotions could handle. The last Pixar movie I cried on was Toy Story 3, and that's because you literally feel the same emotions as Andy when he gives up his toys.
We grew up with those toys.
Yeah, yeah,
And then they tried to burn them and they tried to he gives them away. Toy Story 3 ended so perfectly.
yeah.
I don't see how they can do a Toy Story 4. Yeah, I'm okay with the animated shorts they do before. They had one before Muppets and a few other things, but
But I
Toy
don't know.
Story full movie?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if I would want a Toy Story 4. I mean, I would much rather have The Incredibles. Incredibles
I
2.
want to see Incredibles 2, but at the same time, I don't want. I will be first in line for those movies. I would be first in line for those movies, but at the same time, I don't want them to destroy the great things that they already made.
Yeah.
Yeah, Incredibles 2 would be far better than Toy Story 4, in my opinion. I want to see Toy Story 4. I mean, I want to see Incredibles 2, but some of those Pixar movies don't need a sequel. I think Monsters University is a good example of that. Yeah, it was an okay movie. It was good,
Mm-hmm.
but some of those Pixar movies are just so good that just leave them where they are.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'll be first in line to see their sequels.
Well, I mean, of course. I mean, like, as much as, like, slightly worried as I am about um Ant-Man, that does not mean that I am not going to be there midnight release of the movie. Like, you're still gonna see these movies. Like, I mean, come on, guys. You guys are probably sitting there, and I guess this is gonna be how we kind of wrap things up. But you guys are probably sitting there like, oh, like I don't agree with that. Like, I feel like the DC movies are gonna be good, or the DC movies are gonna be bad, or the Marvel movies are gonna be good, and Marvel movies are gonna be bad. You're still gonna see these movies. Why? Because we're all true movie fans. That's what we love to see. We love Pixar movies. We love the comic book movies.
We're nerds.
We are nerds. And this right here, what Popcorn Prattle, that's what this is all about. This is about nerds coming together, talking about nerdy things, okay? Talking about how much we love movies, how much we can talk about movies. And listen, we don't claim to be experts here, okay? There are lots of if you want experts, please by all means go listen to those other podcasts. However, if you want some regular down home, like listen, this is just two nerds wanting to hash it out, then please come back, listen to more Popcorn Prattle.
Yeah, let us know what you thought. Hit us up on Twitter. We have an email address that you can let us know. As we said at the very beginning, season 1, episode 1. It can only go up from here.
Indeed.
It can only go up from here.
Speaking of which, Calvin, where can they reach you on Twitter? How can they reach you?
At the Super Cow, the Super Cow, CAL, not cow. Cows are super, but I am the Super Cow.
You can also hit me up on Twitter. I could definitely use some more followers. I only have 145. Let's get it up to even 200. You can follow me at Mark underscore Leroy. At Mark underscore Leroy. And again, if you're on YouTube, I will post this down in the about section for you guys so that you guys can understand what we're saying if it's not clear. And Calvin, we made it to an hour and we've wrapped it up. We talked about all the things we wanted to talk about. Well, except Star Wars.
Star Wars.
Next week, folks, we I promise you we will talk about Star Wars Episode 7. I know that a number of you guys are excited about it. We will talk about it. Do not worry. Again, this is Marcus Sally. This is my co-host.
The Super Cal Hopkins.
Guys, we will talk to you later. Peace, love, and tranquility to all of you.
Excelsior.